Chronospan Slimline Kitchen Tops Assembly. Worktop. Vacuum cleaner. Circular saw with an FS rail and a wheel for cutting laminates. Milling cutter with a carbide cutter for chamfering. Upper spindle milling machine with a 14mm diameter carbide cutter. 40mm diameter copy ring and 10mm diameter carbide cutter. Template. Adjustable protractor. Domino joint milling machine. Bar clamp. Template for slimline worktops assembly. Compact tabletop assembly kit. Professional and appropriate assembly of the tabletop is extremely important, as an improperly mounted tabletop often gets damaged during day-to-day use. We recommend that countertops be stored for 24 hours in the room, where they will be joined for assembly. They should be installed and used in closed and ventilated rooms, guaranteeing protection against factors such as high humidity, extreme temperatures, as well as direct sunlight and water. Before commencing work, you should check whether the tabletop is of appropriate dimensions, without mechanical damage or colour defects and differences. If the tabletop is secured with a foil, it should be removed only after assembly. The appropriate chamfering size and milling test should be performed on a waste element. Tabletop preparation should begin with chamfering the upper and lower edge with the MFK 700 with a 45-degree angle, chamfering cutter except for places where the tabletops meet the wall. Then the chamfered edges should be sanded with the material supplied with a compact countertop assembly kit. We recommend assembling the tabletop with a milling machine and a Festool professional template used for joining the tabletops. You can also use a compact template made of HPL. At the beginning, it is necessary to specify the worktop assembly method. We will present joining worktops at an angle of 90 degrees. We put the kitchen countertop and template in the right position. Then we take the pins and place them in the appropriate holes to ensure the correct position of the template, both from the side and the front. Now the hole set is set to the width of the top, e.g. 600mm. To accurately mill the worktop now, we use clamps and attach the template to the kitchen worktop. The router is ready for work. We have a 30mm copying ring and a 14mm groove cutter prepared. These two conditions are necessary to get the right effect. Milling should be done along the template, separating the entire thickness into 3 passes, and the last finishing milling. Milling should be started with a setting of 1/3 of the entire material, and the machine should be moved to the right side of the table so it can be passed from right to left. The cutter turns clockwise, directing it to the front end of the template. Repeat and increase the depth to 2/3 of the tabletop's thickness, and later to the full thickness. The last finishing milling should be made from left to right. The cutter should be set for the full tabletop thickness with a CA 5mm surplus. The first part of the joint is done. Loosen the clamps and put the template on the other tabletop, which should be put on the opposite, i.e. left side. Now we can mill the next element. In order to mill the second part of the tabletop, turn the template to its left side. Like before, use clamps to determine the exact position of the template. Put the template against the front edge and press the bolts to the tabletop. Fix the whole thing using clamps inserted in the template profile. Remember to mill in the right direction, just like before. First, 3 times from right to left, and the last, pass from left to right. After loosening the clamps and putting the template away, the tabletops can be joined and the quality of the joint can be checked. After proper verification of the joint, move on to making inlets for screw joints. The slots for the joints should also be made using the template. To mill the places for tabletop joints, place the template on the upturned tabletop. Place the metal bolts in appropriate slots. The template is now in the proper position for milling. Set the appropriate milling depth on your milling machine equipped with a 40mm copy ring and a 10mm cutter and start milling along the template. We milled places for tabletop connectors. Now we reverse the second tabletop, and also here we place the template in the right position with the help of fixing pins, and the hole is fastened with clamps. Then we will mill the second element using a router with the same settings as the previous tabletop. If we want the tabletop surface to be aligned in the same place, mill out slots for domino joints, which will allow their optimum alignment. Mark the places to mill on the joint plates and prepare 4 slots in each element. In order to join tabletops perfectly, use the coloured matched colour joint seal. It is the single product dedicated for this on the market. It comes in 10 colours to make the seal colour as similar to the tabletop as possible. Colour joint comes in 20-gram tubes, which is enough for more than 120 centimetres of seal. Each joint should be sealed along with the circumference of the tabletop's cross-section. Before applying the sealant, clean both edges with acetone found in the kit. Open the colour joint tube and attach a special applicator included with every tube. The applicator will help in ideal application of the sealants on the tabletop's cross-section and after joining the tabletops, in scooping up the excess. Apply the sealant along the entire cross-section of one of the joined tabletops. Once the ghoul is evenly applied, screw the applicator off the tube. Now you need to properly join the tabletops, align them perfectly in a single plane and tighten the fastening bolts. Too much colour joint has been applied on the joint. In order to scoop it up, use the other side of the applicator. Use your thumb to remove excess sealant on the front edge, a 90-degree angle. Remove the remaining sealant from the tabletop surface. To do that, use a cloth to gently wipe the tabletop across the joint. Caution: do not wipe along the seal, because it may remove the sealant from the gap. All the activities with the use of colour joint need to be completed within 15 minutes from opening the tube. In order to clean the tabletop surface, cleaner can be used. Correctly made colour joint seal ensures 100% airtightness and durability of the tabletop. The final step is quality control of the tabletop edge. Possible adjustments with sandpaper and an optional application of linseed oil included in the compact tabletop assembly kit.